we meet a lot of people on the road, and they're always saying, oh, this is my dream. One day I would love to do this. I've been wanting to do this for years, and once I get around to it, I'll do this too. And 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 a lot of them also say that they never get around to it. So our answer to them is always just set a date and go. Set a date in the future, then and then I'm gonna go. Decide on it, set a date, and go start preparing. I think that's what we did. We made the decision, we set a date, and then we started preparing. And once we started preparing, everything fell into place. We got help from all sorts of people. We found this great builder, by accident almost, that could help us build our dream. And so just go out there, and it doesn't have to be on a budget like this. We meet people that are out on the road on a budget, half hours, a quarter of hours. We have a budget, we have a daily budget of 100 euros, little over 100 euros. That includes everything. That also includes insurance, our health insurance, insurance for the car, but also fuel, campsites, and obviously food and fun stuff. And it's about 1/3 of fuel and cost of the car. One third is food, and 1/3 is campsites and fun stuff, like if we go to an amusement park or we are doing something that would actually cost money. And but we also meet people that are on a budget of maybe 20 euros a day, and they get by really, really nicely. And if we've learned anything, is to just do it. It's a cliche, but it's true.
Well, you are kind of on 20 euro budget.
Per person. Yeah, I guess per person we are on a 20 euro budget, yeah. And another question we get asked a lot is, what is it like to travel with a family of 5 in a fairly small room? We are together all the time, and well, first of all, we're outside a lot. I guess apart from when we're sleeping, we're outside 80–90% of the time, which is way different than when we were still living our life in the Netherlands. I calculated that on an average day, I wouldn't be outside for even an hour a day. Now I'm outside most of the time. Like today, it's not raining, but it's not really sunny, but we're outside, and I love that. So that, first of all, that gives us a lot more space than just being inside. We're not inside the truck 24 hours a day. And truth be told, it did take us some time when we left to get used to this life and get adjusted to each other living in this cramped area. But luckily enough, we knew that was going to happen, so we prepared for this. We knew that there would be little irritations, that there would be little fights amongst the children, maybe between Larissa and me, between us and the children, little annoyances, little irritations. And because everybody had to settle into this life for at least 4 or 5 weeks. And that's exactly what happened. And because we had actually anticipated this, we could also accept it. Like, oh, see, now it's happening. You see, this is happening. And now after that, we're really used to this. And of course, there's things I miss. There's things I miss from back home. I used to go biking a lot on my mountain bike or on my racing bike. We have a bike, but it's not a mountain bike, so I really miss that. I miss some friends, I miss some family, I miss going out for a beer with friends. But, and that's also a cliche, we get so much in return. We get to spend time with the family and be so close. I get to see my children and grow up, and I get to see how they study, how they learn, how to do this, how they do the schoolwork, and we spend a lot of time together, and it's very, very valuable. And of course, we also sometimes we need our own me time or one-on-one time. So we purposely choose to sometimes do something with one of the kids or with 2 of the kids, to have some one-on-one time with one of the kids, or even take some literal me time, and I would go off for a walk or go into the city where the rest don't want to do that anymore, and have some alone time, which is also important. And we noticed that the kids also want some alone time sometimes. Sometimes they would just like separate themselves from the rest, and then either go into their bed and close the curtains, read a book, be on that tablet a little bit, or go for a little walk, especially when we're in a bigger campsite where it's safe for them to just go roam around, wander around the campsite, or like here even they could walk around a little bit and explore. Especially the oldest one, Bodian, he really likes to go out on his own and explore the world a little bit, and we notice it's some time that he needs. And then when he comes back, he's all energized again, and we can be together. So it's adjusting to this lifestyle, but it's, in our opinion, it's worthwhile, definitely. Another question that we get asked a lot is it safe to be on the road? Well, especially to be camping and parking out, not on campsites, not on camper places, but like here, like we're here now. We're just outside of Riga on an island in the river. The river is on both sides of us. It's the island where also the big TV tower is, but it's a bit of a barren no man's land, and we just parked here. We got a tip from somebody else that it would be a great spot. There's one other camper here. It's standing over there, and otherwise there's nothing, nobody. And yeah, we park here, and we've never felt not safe during the entire trip. I think it's at least 50-50 that we go on in the wild on non-paid parking places, and the other 50% is either paid parking places or non-paid official parking places for campers. But we've never run into any trouble. We've never had the police or any authorities ask us to leave. Of course, we're aware of where we park. We do some research. I look onto Google Maps where it is. We couldn't park in the middle of a big city on a street and then expect not to be kicked out. But if we do some research, there's a couple of apps that we use for good spots. So as far as I'm concerned, it's very, very safe. We've never run into any problems, nor have we heard of any other campers that have run into any problems. We've had nothing but positive experiences from ourselves and from others. There's this one time that we were in Spain where it is allowed to park overnight in the wild, but not in the national parks. And we had parked on the parking spot inside a national park. It was actually the parking spot just inside the national park. That was the entrance to the different walks that you could make in the national park. So officially we could not be there overnight, but we did anyways. And the next day, the park police came and they started talking to us, and they said, I was just drinking a cup of coffee on the stairs, and they said, you're not allowed to park here overnight, you know that? I said, yeah, I know that. Well, we're drinking our coffee and then we're going. And then he said, but you parked here last night, right? And I didn't want to lie about it, so I said, yes, we did park here last night. And he said, that's not allowed. And I said, I'm sorry, we'll leave. And that was the end of that. It was not really a big thing. And it probably also because it was off season, this was in January, February. If you do that in July, August, it may be a little bit of problem, and they may actually come the night before and chase you away. But other than that, no noticeable problems. And of course, another question that we get a lot, and it's, I guess, a bit of a Dutch question, is how do they do it? Where do they get the money to make a trip like this and be away for a year and still live? And for us, that's we both had fairly good income, so we could save up. We could save up some money to be able to buy this truck. We decided to sell the house. We sold the house in a really, really great market, so we got some extra money from that. And Larissa quit her job, so she doesn't have any income this year. And I am self-employed. I have an engineering consulting firm that is being run by the director that I hired. So I still have income from my company. So that covers for our daily budget. And other than that, the investment for the truck, that was from selling the house and the money that we saved.
If you would do it once again, would you have done something different?
Not a lot. I've been asked that question before. There's probably obviously things that we learned in the process of designing this and building this. We had never actually campered before. This is the first camper that we own. We didn't even rent the camper to try out if it was something for us. We had already bought the fire truck, and I was already designing this because we had decided to make this trip. And I was designing this by learning from YouTube, from visiting other campers, from reading up on the internet, and it's a mix of my own ideas and things that I thought were clever in other campers. There's some details that I would do different. For the interior design, I used a computer 3D program to make different designs. Like I experimented with the seating area in front of the bed, and then the bunk beds for the kids on this side, and then the bathroom next to it. And I made 4, 5, 6 different designs and ended up with this fairly classical design, I would call it, with the bed on one end and the seating area on the other end, and everything else in between. And it works really well for us. Like I said, I would probably try and make a system where the folding chair actually slides into it. I have seen that now even with a rail-on-rail system. The door is a little bit close to the window next to it. So if the door is fully open, it's in front of the window, which is not so much a problem with if we open the window. If the window is open and the door would swing to it, it might actually break that window. So that's a little design flaw that I would try to fix. And other than that, not much. Like I said, we're actually pretty happy. Also, there's a trend now to be cooking on electricity. You see more and more of these induction plates. I thought about that too, but then I thought with the availability of LPG everywhere, at least in Europe, it's a lot cheaper, this system. Cooking on electricity actually does take a lot more of the batteries. You need more battery power, you need probably more solar panels, you need bigger inverters with come at a cost, but also, in my opinion, at a risk of higher currents and all that.
And how long did it take this project to build?
We started, the plans came into effect, I started designing end of 2021. That's also when I started looking for a truck and for a builder. The box was built in about 8 months, I guess, from scratch. The disadvantage was because the truck came from Switzerland, and because of COVID, it came a little bit later. I had already bought it, but it came a few months later than was agreed on before. It would be in the Netherlands in February, so we could start building the box on top of it. And it ended coming to the Netherlands in June, I think. So a couple of months later, and this was due to COVID. And there was a very funny reason, because the fire corps had already bought a new truck, and they needed to train everybody for the new truck before they could let this truck go. And normally they would do that in 2 full days with the entire team, but because of COVID, they had to do it in 2 by 2 people, and it took way longer with the planning of all the couples training on the new truck. So the training actually took a couple of months before they could let go of this truck. And the disadvantage of that was that we were already building the box and the subframe before we had the exact dimensions of the chassis. So we started building on the drawings of the chassis and the dimensions that we had measured in Switzerland already. But it was, I wouldn't say a risk, but it was a bit of we had to make sure that everything would fit. And obviously, when I always say we, the builders did most of it. I was involved in the design and a lot of the technical details that we decided on along the way. So in that sense, it was a co-production, but the builders built everything. And a part of the equipment could only be installed after we put the box on the chassis, like everything under and I couldn't start ordering the boxes, the opening boxes, to have the exact dimensions of those boxes. So that took in total about 7 months.
And the plan is just to travel the 1 year? Or?
Yes, the plan is to travel for 1 year, started in Christmas, and we don't really have any plans for after that. We don't know if we want to keep the truck and save it, or we want to sell the truck. So this truck might actually be for sale early next year. We sold our house partly to make this trip possible, but also because we wanted to leave the area that we were living in and kind of start on a blank sheet,
Yeah.
to be able to think about where we want to live next, how we want to live next. We lived in the city in a beautiful house, but our dream is to have a little bit more space around the house, maybe have some land area around the house, maybe a smaller house, but with a little bit more land. The kids want some animals. So we're really in the process of rethinking our entire lives, basically, what to do, where to live, and how to spend our time.